Okay. So I've got confirmation that I can be heard. Sorry. Um, well, so these are indeed the most astounding of times. And I hope everyone on Facebook here today is doing okay, and your family is okay. I recently lost my oldest living brother. He had had cancer for 6 years, off and on. There were times when he was cancer-free, time when he was going through various kinds of treatment. And so he had good days and bad days. He had been a naval commander and commanded squadrons of ships, sometimes in very precarious circumstances. And one of the things I admired about him was that he didn't really do worry. He just responded to the next thing that was presented to him, because in his role, it was very important that as things came up the chain, when it landed with him, that he didn't send more worry and anxiety down the chain. And he needed to learn to do that in a way that wasn't about suppressing the worry or the anxiety, because as people came to him, they would pick up on that. If we're just suppressing the worry or the anxiety, pushing it down, it comes across in our presence and our demeanor. And I was so impressed and inspired and enjoyed spending time with my brother, even when he was in very difficult circumstances, living on oxygen, and seeing how humbly and simply he dealt with his circumstances. So now we find ourselves all in a state where there's lots of worry available of many different kinds. Many of us have family members who are at peril. Perhaps we ourselves are at peril. I have 3 more siblings from ages 68 to 72, 73. 4 more siblings, sorry. And, one of them's in New York City. So everybody has some connection to people who are in peril. Also, one is concerned about security. So definitely the energy of worry and fear comes up in this kind of a time, in this kind of a crisis. And it's not unprecedented in the history of human beings on Earth. It's just that we haven't had anything quite like this in the lifetimes in our lifetimes. So, in terms of the fear, I'm reminded of something that Frank Ostaseski likes to say, which is that the part of you that knows you're afraid isn't afraid. There is an awareness beneath our cognition that sees the whole picture. And that awareness has a certain kind of innate settledness to it. So what we're accustomed to doing most of the day is having projects and things that we need to do that we need to accomplish. We have a kind of a doing mind, and our brain is very attuned to accomplishing and following out trains of thought that lead to accomplishment, figuring things out. But in a situation like this, there are so many things you can't figure out. So we may turn on that engine of thought that tries to figure things out, and it just keeps us active and in our mind and anxious. So one of the principles that seems so helpful with that kind of uncertainty is not knowing. Just having the acceptance that we don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. And there's a saying that not knowing is the most intimate. When we know something for sure, then we've already decided what's going to happen and how it's going to work out, and who's this and who's that, who we like, who we don't like. When we have a spirit of not knowing, there's a quality of letting be. Also, something that's going on now, I'm certainly experiencing a sense of loss that habits and routines are being lost. One has fear of other things that may be lost: income, people, organizations, etc. So one of the things I've appreciated about something that Sharon Salzberg has been talking about with respect to loss is how she talks about grieving. I want to read a little something that's over here I have an advanced look at her next book, Real Change, where she says, to grieve, whether for a person, a set of ideals, or our hopes and dreams, is to watch reality, once so solid seeming, become molten. It's hard to get oneself to take the next step in a dissolving world. Where will our foot land when it seems nothing will support us? And what she goes on to talk about really is that we grieve for a lot of things, and grieving is a creative process. It's a process of saying goodbye and letting go. So when we grieve, it's also said that we're honoring that which we're grieving. We're being thankful for it. And then we're saying, okay, but I can also let it go. And as Sharon says, there's some heartbreak in that. But that little bit of heartbreak is okay. We can just let that be there. So with those kinds of thoughts in mind of being able to let things be and let go, I want to do a little practice together, which is the basic mindfulness practice with this notion of, as it said in the title, touch and go. It has to do with how we relate to our thoughts as we're meditating. So we will do a basic meditation practice. In this case, we're going to use as our anchor the out breath. So as the breath goes out of the body, we actually kind of follow it out, like that gesture. You won't actually be moving your hand, but the breath goes out, and then there's a little space when the in-breath is happening, and we just let that be there, and then we catch the next out-breath as it comes out, and we're going out. So there's a gesture of going out by following the breath out. And as thoughts arise, so I have a thought, I can't go swimming anymore. How long is that going to last? I'm going crazy. How has this happened? I can't go swimming anymore. Hey, but it'd be a bath of chlorine. It would be good in this, but I can't. They wouldn't let me. I can't. Then notice that and just touch it, and then let it go. Touch. The moment you notice it, touch it and let it go. The kind of touch is just so light. Just the lightest possible touch with your mind, and let it go. If it's tough and persistent, yes, it'll come back. Maybe you're lying awake at night and the scariest thought comes back. Touch it, let it go, comes back, touch it, and let it go. And every time we do that, we're taking a little bite off of the intensity. We're not taking it on all at once. I'm going to wrestle this difficult thought to the ground. I'm going to wrestle this worry and fear down. We're just touching it and letting it go. So let's do this for about 5 minutes. So please take as upright a posture as you can, straight but not stiff. Your hands rest on your thighs. You may have your eyes open or closed, and have your chin slightly down in a gesture of humbleness. Feel your body first. Feel the sense of gravity. Feel the gravity pulling you down into your chair, your feet on the ground, on the floor, pulled down toward the earth. Feel the sensations in your body. And now notice the breath as it goes out, and follow it out. Let there be a little gap. Next out breath. Out breath. As thoughts arise, touch them, let them go. So I'm not going to say much for a while. Let's just do that for a couple of minutes. Following the out breath. Touching the thoughts and letting them go. may also notice sensations in your body. Like I have a tendency to hunch up my shoulders. They just kind of creep up. So I notice that, touch that, and let it go. You may notice holding tension in various ways. Our muscles are meant to tense and then release, but when we hold, we tense them without releasing. So if you notice that, you can release tension. Even if when we do this practice, we happen to be very agitated, we're actually getting rest. By giving some space to our innate natural awareness in the midst of agitation, we get some rest. We'll just do this for another minute. Follow the out-breath out into space. And when it comes to its end, let there be a gap. Come back to the next out-breath. This out-breath oriented mindfulness practice is particularly suited to the attitude of letting go. It's been likened to a sliding board at the playground, where you slide down. That's the out-breath. You're sliding down and you come to the end. And then the in-breath is climbing back up the slide and then sliding back down and letting go. It's like that feeling of letting go. If you can remember what it's like to slide down a slide. So, that's it for the meditation practice for today. So, good luck out there, everyone. Allow yourself to adapt at your own rate to all this change, and let's be together as much as we can. Physical distancing and social cohesion. You can also do this touch and go practice if you're going out for a walk in nature, if you can manage to do that. That's a great thing. I've been taking some solace from that while staying away from people at the same time. And let's end by taking a moment to contemplate the kindness of others and be grateful. In this case, to the healthcare workers, the store cashiers, the truck drivers, the people preparing food and getting it to us through the various means. Let's think of what they're doing on our behalf. Maybe some of you are those people. So I send out great gratitude. Thank you very much. And stay well and be well. Bye now.